Welcome to Game Fondue Reviews. In this video we're going to take a look at Citadels. Citadels is basically a role selection game where you're also trying to build up your district. Let's jump right in with a brief description of the rules, see a few example turns being played, and then I'll finish with some closing remarks.
This is Citadels, set up for a 4-player game. To set it up, you shuffle up the district cards and give each player a hand of 4. Each player takes 2 money and the rest form a pool. There's also these nice reference cards that go through what you do on a turn. Shuffle up the characters and they'll form a stack in the center, and then one player gets the crown, and that player is going to be the first player. We're going to go through the rules with 4 to 6 players. With 2 or 3 players there's some differences, and with 7 players there's one very slight modification, but it's basically the same game. In all cases the game is played in a series of rounds with 4 phases. Those are remove characters, choose characters, player turns, and end of a round. The game ends at the end of a round when a player has at least 8 districts in front of him, which you're going to build during your turns. Let's run through those turn phases. First is remove characters. In all player counts, you're going to put one card face down in the center where nobody gets to look at it. And then depending on the number of players, you're going to flip some cards face up. With 6 players, it's actually 0. With 5 players, it's 1. But we're 4 players, so it's 2. Now, if one of the cards flipped face up is the king gets reshuffled into the stack, and another card is put face up. The king can never be face up. He can be face down. These cards are not going to be available for picking this turn. Then choosing characters. The player with the start token is going to get the hand of remaining characters. He's going to pick one, put it face down in front of himself, and pass the rest. Once all players have picked one, there's going to be one more that goes face down that nobody gets to see. Next, the players take their turns, and they take their turns in the order of the character they pick. So the cards are called out from Assassin to Warlord in order, and when your card is called, you reveal yourself and you get to take your turn. On your turn, you take one action first, and your 2 choices for one action are you either take 2 gold from the bank or you draw 2 district cards, keeping one in your hand and putting the other at the bottom of the deck. The second thing you can do on a turn is build a district card. You can build one of the cards in your hand. The cost is the number of coins in the upper corner, and that will just go face up in front of you. The one restriction there, like in this case, I have 2 harbors in my hand. If I build a harbor this turn, remember, you can only do 1 per turn. On a later turn, I would not be able to build another harbor. Only 1 card of each name. Lastly, depending on what character you pick, you have a special ability. The special ability you don't have to do in order. You can do that before your action, after you build, whenever you want to do it, and you take that action. So let's go through the different characters. First is the Assassin. The Assassin does exactly what you think the Assassin would do. He assassinates someone. You declare the name of a character, and that person doesn't get to take their turn. So when their character's called, they don't even flip it up. They totally are out this round. Next is the Thief. And the Thief announces somebody as well, but cannot say the Assassin or the player that was chosen by the Assassin. And when that player's turn starts, the Thief takes all of his money before that guy gets to go. So the Thief doesn't actually get the money during his turn, just steals it out from somebody during their turn. Next is the Magician. The Magician has 2 choices, but you can only pick one. You either exchange your whole hand of cards with somebody else, and if you have 0 in your hand, you can still exchange, or you can discard any number of cards from your hand to the bottom of the deck and draw back the same number. Next is the King. So 2 things happen with the King. You get 1 extra gold for each yellow district you have built in front of you. And the districts, by the way, come in a few different colors. They come in red, blue, yellow, green, and purples usually have a special ability, but that's one as well, and the color is just indicated by the circle on them. So the King gives you 1 extra gold for each yellow you have in front of you, and you get to take the start player token, so you're going to go first. The King has one exception, is that if he's ever assassinated by the Assassin, he still gets to take the crown. He doesn't get to take a turn, but at the end of the turn, after everybody's revealed, he says, you know what, I was actually the king, so the crown is mine. Next is the Bishop, and similar to the King, he gets 1 gold for each blue district in front of him. King was yellow, Bishop is blue, and his other ability is none of his buildings can be destroyed by the Warlord. We'll understand what that means in a second. Next is the Merchant. He gets 1 gold for each green district in front of him, and just because he's the Merchant, you just get 1 free gold for the sake of it. Next is the Architect, and the Architect, after taking an action, allows you to draw 2 cards from the deck, and you get to keep both of them, which is unlike normally where you draw 2 and discard 1. And instead of building 1 district, you're allowed to build up to 3. You don't have to, but you can. And lastly is the Warlord. And the Warlord gets 1 gold for each red district in front of him. And you can destroy someone else's building by paying a number of gold equal to 1 less than its cost. If you really want to, you can even choose one of your own, but you cannot destroy a building in a district that has at least 8 buildings. Once somebody's at 8, they're set for the game, and the game's going to end at the end of a round. So at the end of a round, which is the last phase of a turn, you just shuffle back up the character cards to prepare for the next round. During final scoring, which is detailed on your little reference card on the opposite side of the turn, you get 1 point per gold cost of each district, so it's the cost as well as the value of it at the end of the game. 3 points if you built one of each color. And if you were the first player to build that 8 district count, you get 4 bonus points. If you were the second or third or fourth player, so on to do it, you do get 2 points. If you never got to 8, no points at this time. Let's get cracking with our example playthrough so everybody has their hand of 4 cards and their 2 gold. So first thing we do is remove characters. 1 always goes face down, and then because we're 4 players, 2 go face up. And if any of them are the king, they of course get reshuffled. So this player actually gets to pick his card first because he is the king, and he's going to go with this one. Now he passes them clockwise, so this guy gets to pick one. So the last one goes face down, nobody sees it. And now we say the names of the characters in order. So we first say assassin, because he's number 1. And this guy is the assassin, so he reveals it. He declares the name of another card that he wants to assassinate for this turn. And he says, you know what? I want to assassinate the warlord. So when the warlord's turn comes, he gets totally skipped. He leaves his card face down and everything. And you don't have to use your ability right away. I mean, it doesn't really matter. There's no real reason not to with the assassins. But you do have to take your action before you build. So for this player's action, he can either take 2 money or draw 2 cards and put 1 back. He's going to take 2 money. And then he's allowed to build 1 location. He decides to build this harbor for 4. And then we go on to the thief. Is anyone the thief? I actually don't remember. Are you the thief? Yes, you are. So you flip and you name somebody, and if their turn comes up, you get to steal from them. Now he went last, so he knows not to call the bishop or the merchant, but he also knows not to call the architect. So he is going to call either the magician or the king, and he decided it's more likely for somebody to take the king the first round. So if the king comes up, he's getting robbed. And then for his action, he's also going to take 2 money, and he is going to build this manor for 3. So now we go on to magician. We say magician, nobody flips. Magician's probably this card, sure is. Nobody gets to look at it though, of course. Then we say king. This guy flips. He's going to get the crown here. He gets robbed, though, by the thief, which is very disappointing for him before his turn takes place, because he was really hoping to build this manor and use the king's ability to get 1 money for it. But instead, he's going to take 2 money as his action and then just build this temple for 1. Then we go on to the bishop and the merchant, but we know they're not there. And then we do the architect, who is also not picked. And lastly, the warlord. But unfortunately for the warlord, he's been assassinated, so he just throws his card in, although we know it's him. Then we take all the character cards, shuffle them up, and do it the same way. We'll join back when it's pretty close to the end of the game. Welcome back. This player has the crown. It's getting pretty close to the end of the game because he has 7 things in his province. So he's going to take one of these cards, and then this guy's turn, he's going to take 1 as well. So this guy, we go first from assassin, and this guy did pick the assassin over here. So he declares warlord, and he's going to draw 2 cards as his action, discarding 1. And he did get a card cheap enough for him to build because he has 2 money. So he's going to build that, and the warlord's not going to get to take a turn. So this is definitely the last turn. Though even if the warlord wanted to destroy one of his buildings, he could not because he actually built his 8th. So then we move on to thief. Nobody picked thief. Nobody picked magician. And then we have king over here. So for his action, he's going to take 2 money. And then he's going to use the king's ability. So he gets 2 extra money. And with all that money, he's going to build a town hall. And then 5 we know isn't there. 6 not picked either. And then architect is 7. So this guy gets to take 2 money, and then as the architect get 2 free draws, and he can build more than 1 card if he chooses to do so. He decides, yeah, why not? He's going to build this one for 2, and this one for 1 to finish it off. And last but not least, the warlord doesn't get his turn because he was assassinated. So now we calculate the final points at the end of the game. So we first add up the total value of the buildings. We got 5, 6, 9, 11, 12, 14, 18, 22, and we check if they have one of each color. This guy does not have red or purple, so nothing there, but he did complete his board with 8, so he gets the 4 bonus points for that, bringing him up to 26. This guy over here, even though he paid 6 for this, it's actually worth 8, 10, 15, 17, 19, 21, 22. It looks like he doesn't have a yellow, but actually this can be any color he chooses to be. That's the ability, and a lot of purple cards have that ability. So he does, so he gets 3 bonus points for that, bringing up to 25, just short of this player. Both of these players didn't do as well, so we won't worry about their scores too much. This guy wins.
Citadels is a game that's been around a while, but it still gets played a lot. You still see it going at game groups, and the role selection aspect of it is a lot of fun. I've also seen people get very, very frustrated playing Citadels from, getting assassinated or whatever, but you have to understand this is not, a highly strategic game or anything like that. It's a game that is best with a lot of people, and it's just to have a good, fun time. It does that very, very well. Also, the editions nowadays usually come with the Dark City expansion. This one actually does too. We didn't cover it in the video, but that adds a lot of variety and diversity to some of the cards you can get. Not just district cards, but also the roles. So that makes it really fun, and it's a game that will be around for a long time to come. So if you haven't tried this one, I suggest you check it out. That's Citadels. Thanks for watching.